action were not just a crime of passion, but a meticulously planned execution. Welcome, investigator. I'm Dr. Eleanor Vaughn, Chief Medical Examiner, and you're about to embark on a journey through evidence, logic, and deduction. 3 cases remain unsolved, and it's up to you to uncover the truth. Each case holds secrets buried beneath lies, deceit, and pain. Choose wisely, because every decision you make will either bring you. Every murder is like the visible tip of an iceberg. The real story lies hidden beneath the details. Elena Marlowe, a journalist's silent scream. The forest, a witness to secrets and death. Who wanted to silence her? Thomas Blackwood. A murder in the triangle of money, power, and revenge. A banker's death could rewrite millions in accounts. Isabella Romano, a mother's death. A dark plan executed in a silent home beside a sleeping child. Which veil do you lift?
The lifeless body of investigative journalist Elena Marlowe was found abandoned on a deserted forest path by morning joggers at exactly 6:43. What started as a routine morning quickly turned into a horrific scene. Initial crime scene analysis reveals that the victim suffered multiple stab wounds. There are obvious drag marks in the forest soil and signs that the body was moved after the autopsy. The victim's press credentials indicate that she worked for the European Chronicle. Strangely, her name was not found on the final investigation notes or listed at the scene, raising questions about whether key details were overlooked or deliberately erased. The coroner's estimate of the time of death put the murder at some point the previous night between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Rain had washed away much of the trace evidence, making it difficult for investigators to identify footprints. Officers found evidence in Elena's apartment, including her laptop containing deleted files linked to controversial real estate investigations. Phone records analysis shows multiple calls to an unlisted number in the 48 hours preceding her death. The final call lasted precisely 12 minutes and ended at 9:47 p.m., potentially her last communication before the murder. The murder weapon, a knife, was recovered from the scene stained with blood, indicating that the body had been dragged approximately 50 feet through dense forest, demonstrating not only the physical strength of the killer, but also a calculated effort to stage the crime. Toxicology reports have been reviewed by the police team. They detect only caffeine and a mild anxiety medication in Elena's system. Surveillance footage shows a dark-colored SUV entering the forest access road at 11:15 a.m. and leaving at 12:20 a.m. 3 primary suspects emerge: Marcus Reinhardt, a prominent developer, Sarah Jensen, a rival journalist, and Viktor Petrov, a local.
We have 3 different paths to start our investigation, and each one could change how we understand the case. Our decision now is crucial. The first option is to look into the police intelligence reports. This might help us uncover suspects, motives, or hidden patterns. The second option is to focus on the forensic evidence. A closer examination could reveal how the events unfolded through physical clues. The third path is to examine the victim's recent writings. This might give us insight into their state of mind, relationships, or possible threats.
Enhanced blood spatter analysis indicates the assailant was right-handed and approximately 5'11" tall, -6, 1 inch tall. The precision of the wounds suggests someone with physical strength and weapons. Soil samples from the scuff marks contain traces of industrial fertilizers, unusual for the forest area, suggesting the killer may have tracked them in from another location. Fiber analysis identifies synthetic materials consistent with high-end outdoor camping equipment. These specialized fibers suggest the perpetrator may have connections to wilderness activities or environmental. Partial fingerprints from Elena's press badge match records in the environmental activist database. DNA analysis of organic material under Elena's fingernails reveals male chromosomal markers. This crucial evidence confirms a physical struggle occurred, and the victim managed to collect biological evidence from her attacker, offering a vital lead in identifying the perpetrator. The microscopic bits of wood in Elena's clothes match a particular type of timber used in eco-friendly construction. Elena's notes contain repeated references to the initials, quote, S.J., quote, alongside information about a rival newspaper. The proximity of these notations suggests a professional connection that warrants deeper investigation. Draft articles discovered on Elena's devices expose her journalistic misconduct at rival publications. These unpublished works point to professional conflicts that may have led to retaliation. Email records show threatening messages sent to Elena from anonymous accounts. Linguistic analysis of these communications suggests jealousy and personal animosity from someone familiar with journalistic practices. Elena's calendar marked a meeting with Sarah J., scheduled for the night of the murder. The timing of this appointment creates a direct link between the rival journalist and Elena's final hours, raising significant questions. Voice analysis of anonymous calls to Elena matches Sarah Jensen's speech patterns, establishing a strong link between the rival journalist and the threatening communications prior to the murder. Intelligence reports show Marcus Reinhardt's company was the main target of Elena's investigation, exposing practices that threatened his business. Financial records reveal Reinhardt's company lost 2.3 million euros after Elena's expose on illegal land deals, giving him a strong motive for silencing her. Police surveillance documented Reinhardt entering his office at 10:30 p.m. on the night of the murder and leaving at 11:45 p.m., placing him at a critical time. Partial tire tracks found in the dirt at the crime scene match those of Reinhardt's car, and the distinctive tread pattern suggests his vehicle may have left tracks near the murder scene. This discovery strengthens the link between Reinhardt and the crime, suggesting he may have been at the location. Cell tower data positions Reinhardt's phone near the woods at the estimated time of death. Background check reveals previous assault charges dropped under suspicious circumstances, raising further questions about Reinhardt's past and possible connections to violent behavior. An anonymous tip gives specific details about the knife that matched the wounds, suggesting inside knowledge or possible involvement in the crime. Store records reveal multiple customers recently purchasing similar knives. The sales data creates a narrowed timeline and potential suspect pool, though the commonality of the weapon complicates definitive identification. Further analysis of the purchase locations and payment methods could help pinpoint the buyer. CCTV footage from the store captures a buyer engaging in suspicious behavior. Their attempts to hide their identity and pay in cash suggest premeditation, indicating they were aware of potential investigation methods and tried to avoid being traced.
We've gathered critical evidence in our initial investigation. Now we must pursue the most promising lead with determination. Each potential suspect represents a complex web of motivations and opportunities. Select our final investigative target. Focused investigation on Marcus Reinhardt. Follow Victor Petrov lead. Investigate Sarah Jensen.
The police raid the eco-camp to capture Petrov, who tries to escape through hidden paths. Secret camera footage reveals that Petrov had been following the victim for a long time. The police team, tracing clues, sets out to capture Petrov and uncover the truth behind the incident. A search uncovers stolen investigation documents in Petrov's car, directly linking him to the crime. The documents reveal sensitive information, strengthening the case against him and pointing to his involvement in silencing the journalist. Petrov's account of his whereabouts and the night of the incident is scrutinized, revealing contradictions, leading to his arrest for further interrogation. A hidden weapon is found among Petrov's camping gear. Fingerprints and ballistic analysis provide new clues that may change the investigation. The investigation into Sarah Jensen reveals a history of plagiarism and journalistic misconduct. Jensen's laptop contains copied drafts of Marlowe's unpublished work. The stolen IP suggests both motivation and prior unauthorized access to Elena's research, and provides a link to the murdered journalist. Security footage shows Jensen threatening Marlowe on the night of the murder, undermining his alibi and placing him near Elena during the critical hours. GPS data shows Jensen visiting a wooded area matching the crime scene, creating a clear timeline that places him at Elena's murder site. Forensic analysis reveals Elena Marlowe's blood on Jensen's car bumper, providing direct evidence linking him to the murder. Detailed financial investigation uncovers Reinhardt's network of fake companies for money laundering and criminal activity. A search warrant uncovers bloody clothing in Reinhardt's office safe, indicating his attempt to conceal evidence and his desperation to hide his involvement in the crime. DNA analysis confirms the blood on the hidden clothing is Elena Marlowe's, establishing a clear link between Reinhardt and the murder. When confronted with the evidence, Reinhardt attempts to flee apprehension. His desperate escape effort reflects consciousness of guilt and provides investigators with additional behavioral evidence of his involvement in the murder. Electronic evidence reveals Reinhardt's detailed, premeditated plan for Elena's murder, clearly confirming his motive, careful preparation, and execution. Dr. Heinrich Weber presents a comprehensive forensic analysis that synthesizes evidence from all lines of investigation. Multiple trace elements reveal a complex murder scenario in which intertwined variables suggest a highly calculated perpetrator. Forensic experts cross-reference physical and digital evidence using advanced analysis. Findings reveal hidden connections and potential collaborations. An integrated review of the evidence reveals multiple corroborating forensic indicators from different angles. The analysis narrows down the suspects. Now, faced with the weight of evidence, the detectives prepare to decide which of the three suspects is the murderer.
The Elena Marlowe murder presents a multifaceted investigative challenge. Our forensic reconstruction reveals three possible perpetrators, each with compelling motivations and circumstantial evidence. Key technical observations. Right-handed assailant profile, height 170 to 180 centimeters, complex forensic trace evidence. Multiple, many possible motivational vectors. Overlapping indirect indicators. Can you see through the lies? Potential killers, Marcus Reinhardt, developer. Viktor Petrov, environmental activist. Sarah Jensen, rival journalist. Guess the killer. Your choice will reveal all. Marcus Reinhardt seemed like the perfect killer. Billions missing. A motive as clear as broken glass. But perfection in murder is rare. By the time Elena Marlowe published her revelation, the developer's world was falling apart. $2.3 million was gone, along with the investigation report, and Reinhardt's reputation was in tatters. His car matched the tire tracks at the crime scene, and cell phone tower data placed his phone uncomfortably close to the crime scene. Previous assault charges spoke of a violent past and suggested he could silence a threat. Financial ruin provided a crystal clear motivation, a journalist threatening to destroy everything he had built. Yet, something was wrong. The evidence was neatly arranged, like a staged performance. A sophisticated developer would not risk everything for such a watchable murder. The crime scene suggested a more personal, passionate murder. Reinhardt's calculated nature seemed to contradict that. There was no direct physical evidence tying him to Elena's death. The meticulously collected forensic data contained more shadows than definitive evidence. A professional like Reinhardt would have had more elaborate methods to neutralize a threat. Sometimes the most obvious suspect is nothing more than an elaborate illusion. The forest holds its secrets, and Elena Marlowe's real killer may be watching us right now, openly. The hunt is on, investigator. Marcus Reinhardt seemed like the perfect killer. Millions missing. A motive as clear as broken glass. But perfection in murder is rare. By the time his car matched the tire tracks at the crime scene, and cell phone tower data placed his phone. Yet something was wrong. The evidence was neatly. There was no direct physical evidence. The forest holds.
Dr. Heinrich Weber reviews crime scene photos showing banker Thomas Blackwood's body found in the Premier Plaza basement. Dr. Heinrich Weber reviews crime scene photographs from the Premier Plaza office complex, where the body of international investment banker Thomas Blackwood was discovered in a basement storage room. The victim was found in a prone position, showing multiple blunt force trauma to the head. Evidence suggests the attack took place in his office, and the body was later transported to the storage room. Initial examination reveals several defensive wounds to the victim's hands, indicating a desperate struggle before death. The victim's watch, which was shattered during the attack, stopped at exactly 21:42, probably due to the force of the impact. The office shows clear signs of a violent struggle, with overturned furniture, shattered glass, and blood spatter patterns, all pointing to multiple impacts. These signs suggest the victim fought back fiercely, trying to defend himself before succumbing to repeated strikes. Building security logs show the victim's keycard was last used at 1930, marking his last known movement in the building. The security cameras on the executive floor were disabled between 21 o'clock and 22:15, creating a window of opportunity for the killer. This suggests the attacker had knowledge of the security system, making it more likely the crime was planned and deliberate. Victim's phone reveals multiple threatening messages regarding a failed investment scheme that cost clients millions. The messages, sent by several different contacts, indicate a growing sense of frustration and anger from those affected. Some of the messages hint at a personal vendetta, suggesting the victim had made powerful enemies in the business world. The storage room, which usually requires separate security access, shows clear signs of tampering with the locking system. This tampering suggests that the perpetrator had specific knowledge of the security protocols in place and may have deliberately bypassed them in order to move the victim's body. It also raises questions about whether the killer had inside knowledge. Autopsy reveals death occurred between 21:30 and 22 o'clock. Several employees reported unusual behavior from the victim in the days leading up to his death, including heated arguments and signs of stress. This suggests potential conflict with a colleague or business partner. Three main suspects have been identified: Lawrence Chen, the head of a rival firm; Maria Delgado, a former client who lost millions of dollars; and Peter Schmidt, a recently fired security chief. Each had a motive that raised questions about their involvement in the murder. Investigators are investigating their possible connections to the crime.
As chief medical examiner, I find myself confronted with a fascinating convergence of forensic evidence. The brutality of this crime presents us with distinct investigative pathways, each offering unique insights into the perpetrator's methodology and psychology. Now, choose our primary focus. Review building security logs, technical analysis of access patterns. Examine autopsy findings, detailed forensic pathology. Investigate financial records. Follow the money trail.
Security logs reveal Peter Schmidt's access card was used after his termination date, indicating unauthorized access. Camera footage shows Schmidt arguing with victim 2 days before murder. Building maintenance records indicate Schmidt knew blind spots in security system. Schmidt's personal keycard accessed multiple restricted areas night of murder. The security office is plunged into darkness as cameras go offline. Schmidt launches a swift raid, moving with precision through the space. Evidence shows Schmidt tampered with backup security systems, disabling key cameras and alarm triggers. Detailed autopsy reveals unique impact patterns suggesting specialized equipment. Trace evidence includes high-end carpet fibers from the rival firm's office building, indicating Schmidt may have been at the scene before the murder occurred. The fibers, which matched those found on his clothes. The bruising marks on the victim suggest controlled and precise force. The specific placement and depth of the bruises suggest that the attacker used a well-practiced technique, likely targeting vulnerable areas of the body. DNA found under the victim's fingernails matched a profile linking to the attacker. The time of death closely matches Lawrence Chen's known training schedule. This coincidence raises questions about where he was in the critical window for the murder. Given that Chen had a disciplined routine, and that the murder occurred during his regular training session, this timing suggests a possible connection. The victim's defensive wounds suggest the attacker was left-handed, as the strikes appear to come from a dominant left hand. Financial records reveal significant fund transfers to offshore accounts, pointing to potential money laundering activities. These transfers, traced back to Lawrence Chen's firm, suggest he may have been involved in illicit financial schemes. Investigators are now focusing on these irregularities as a possible motive for the murder. Maria Delgado's life savings vanished in a fraudulent investment scheme orchestrated by Thomas Blackwood. The substantial financial loss devastated her, leaving her financially ruined and emotionally shattered. Evidence shows Delgado had confronted Blackwood multiple times about her lost funds, growing increasingly desperate and angry. This financial betrayal provides a strong motive for revenge, making her a key suspect in the investigation. Evidence from Blackwood's personal files reveals he had been blackmailing multiple clients, including Maria Delgado. He used threats of exposing their financial missteps to force compliance. The discovery of these extortion on the night of the murder, Delgado's phone GPS data placed him near the building, raising suspicions of his involvement. Although security cameras failed to capture him directly, this absence could mean that he didn't enter the building himself. Instead, it suggests that Delgado may have organized the crime by instructing someone else to carry out the act on his behalf. Security footage confirms Delgado did not enter the building herself. Instead, a person acting on her behalf, likely an assistant, was seen entering in business attire. This raises the question, was this person following Delgado's orders or involved in the events that night? After the victim's death, threatening letters sent from Delgado's account were revealed, confirming that Delgado was directly responsible for the ominous threats. Another piece of evidence potentially linked to the killer was the special trophy found in the victim's office. Trace evidence suggests the killer used the service elevator to transport the victim's body, likely to avoid detection by the main security cameras. Surveillance footage from inside the elevator shows signs of a struggle, with the victim's bloodstains on the floor and walls. Partial fingerprints recovered from the trophy base reveal a potential link to the perpetrator, suggesting they may have touched it during or after the crime. When the body was moved to the storage room, most of the drag marks in the elevator were clean. Could the building's janitorial staff have been involved in this?
Our initial investigation has yielded compelling evidence, colleagues. The forensic narrative is taking shape, but crucial pieces remain elusive. The blood spatter patterns tell a story of rage, yet the precision of the body's relocation suggests methodical planning. Select our final investigative focus. Focus on Peter Schmidt's security access, technical expertise analysis. Investigate Lawrence Chen's connections, physical combat expertise evaluation. Pursue Maria Delgado lead, financial motivation assessment.
The investigation reveals that Schmidt deliberately falsified his security credentials, granting himself unauthorized access to restricted areas of the building. This calculated move allowed him to bypass standard protocols and avoid detection, further implicating him in the premeditated nature of the crime. His actions suggest prior knowledge of the building's vulnerabilities. Schmidt's locker contains the victim's missing personal items. This discovery directly links him to the crime scene. Evidence of premeditated security system tampering. Investigators believe the plan was set in motion days before the murder. Schmidt's phone contains detailed messages and notes outlining the victim's daily routine, including meeting schedules, meal times, and regular routes through the building. This level of surveillance suggests that Schmidt had been closely monitoring the victim for a long time, carefully planning his movements. The discovery of this information further strengthens the case against Schmidt, revealing his calculated and methodical approach to crime. Blood found on Schmidt's hand immediately raises suspicions, suggesting his direct involvement in the violent confrontation. Chen's company files reveal a covert takeover attempt aiming to force Blackwood out of the market. Surveillance shows Chen entering the building via the underground parking garage, bypassing the main entrance, raising suspicions. The timing of his entry matches the victim's last known movements. Strong evidence has emerged that Chen deliberately destroyed the victim's business records in an attempt to conceal critical information. Forensic analysis of the data reveals a pattern of deliberate interference, including the deletion of emails, contracts, and financial statements. The destruction of these records appears to have been a calculated move by Chen to protect his own interests. Chen's DNA has been definitively confirmed through forensic analysis of crime scene samples, linking him directly to the location of the victim's death. Delgado's financial records show significant losses due to failed investments and mounting debts. Stolen files could provide significant leverage to allow the victim to collaborate with business partners and enemies. Delgado could manipulate key players using sensitive information. Building cameras reveal Delgado entering the executive floor without authorization, and the timing of his presence aligns with key events surrounding the murder. Surveillance footage shows him entering the area at a critical window when the victim was likely still alive. Several important pieces of evidence were uncovered in Delgado's car trunk, including items that appeared to have a direct connection to the crime scene. The findings included personal items belonging to the victim and tools that could have been used in the murder. These items not only raise suspicions about Delgado's involvement, but also suggest premeditation, as they point to possible planning and preparation prior to the crime. Financial records reveal Delgado transferred funds from the office safe to cover gambling debts. Delgado faces certain prosecution for theft, but Detective Park's suspicions deepen as evidence connects him to the crime scene. Dr. Vaughan's detailed analysis shows the killer was skilled, yet emotionally involved in the brutal and personal attack. The forensic team's analysis of trace evidence and biochemical markers creates a timeline of events. The final forensic review combines detailed physical evidence with behavioral analysis. Dr. Vaughan's team will examine the various elements of the crime scene, including wound patterns, to uncover whether the actions of the perpetrator suggest a personal connection to the victim. This connection may reveal motives rooted in emotions or personal grievances, which go beyond the apparent financial or professional factors.
Fellow investigator, the Thomas Blackwood case presents us with one of the most intriguing forensic puzzles I've encountered. Our extensive analysis has led us to 3 potential perpetrators, each with compelling evidence both for and against their guilt. The physical evidence tells multiple stories: precise blunt force trauma patterns, sophisticated security breaches, and a complex web of financial motives. But as any experienced forensic investigator knows, the truth often hides in the details we least expect. Key technical observations: blunt force trauma indicating both rage and precision, complex security system interference, blood spatter pattern suggesting close-range attack, evidence of premeditated planning, crucial timing of events between 2130 and 2200. Looking at our suspects: Peter Schmidt, former security chief access, knowledge, and a vendetta; Lawrence Chen, rival executive physical capability and corporate motive; Maria Delgado, defrauded client, financial ruin, and personal vengeance; The evidence before us tells a story, investigator. One of these three individuals committed this murder. The forensic evidence makes that certain. But which one truly fits all the pieces of our puzzle? In the end, the truth was unmistakable. The killer was Peter Schmidt, the recently fired security chief. His motive was revenge, fueled by humiliation and the financial ruin that followed his dismissal. The evidence was there all along. His access card, used after his termination date, the security systems tampered with by someone who knew them intimately, and the surveillance blackout that coincided perfectly with the time of death. Schmidt's knowledge of the building's blind spots allowed him to strike swiftly, leaving little trace behind. As for the others, Lawrence Chen may have had a motive, but the timing of his boxing training and the lack of access to security systems ruled him out. The fibers from his office were a misdirection, planted to frame him. Maria Delgado had motive and opportunity, but her whereabouts were confirmed by multiple witnesses, and her threats, though aggressive, were nothing more than empty words. In the end, only Schmidt possessed the combination of access, knowledge, and rage necessary to carry out the murder with such brutal efficiency. His actions were not just a crime of passion, but a meticulously planned execution. Justice, however delayed, had finally caught up to him.
Chief Digital Forensics Examiner John Matthews examines images of a suburban home where Isabella Romano was found in her bedroom. The peaceful appearance of the house contrasts sharply with the brutal crime inside. The curtains remain half-drawn, and family photos still hang on the walls, giving no immediate hint of the violence. Victim's 4-year-old daughter was found unharmed in her bedroom. Child Protective Services confirmed she was sleeping through the incident. The child appeared confused, but physically unharmed. Authorities noted no signs of struggle or distress in her room. She was later placed under protective care, pending the investigation. No signs of forced entry at any access points. Home security system was armed, but not triggered during the estimated time of death. This suggests the perpetrator may have had authorized access or knew the security code. Bedroom shows minimal signs of struggle. Victim's prescription sleep medication found on nightstand, partially empty. The cap is askew, indicating it may have been hastily opened. In the house, everything in the kitchen seems normal. Donuts have been made, everything appears ordinary, but a sudden murder has disrupted the peace. Victim recently filed for divorce. Court documents reveal ongoing bitter custody dispute and significant financial disagreements. Neighbors report seeing victim's estranged husband, Nicholas Romano's car, in the vicinity that evening. Toxicology screening shows elevated levels of sleep medication, inconsistent with normal dosage. Victim's sister, Claire Bennett, possessed spare house keys and was named beneficiary of substantial life insurance policy. Claire had recently visited the victim's house, offering support during the divorce. Investigation reveals the victim's close relationship with her friend and local pharmacist, Ethan Marlowe, who obsessively admired her and personally handled her prescriptions. Marlowe was often seen lingering at the pharmacy, eagerly awaiting her visits.
As Chief Medical Examiner, I must say, we're at a crucial juncture in Isabella Romano's case. 3 distinct paths of evidence have emerged. The anomalies in toxicology reports, conflicting family statements, and suspicious security system data all warrant investigation. Which trail should we pursue more thoroughly? Analyze toxicology reports, review family statements, examine home security data.
2 separate police teams questioned Nicholas Romano at different times. The first team thoroughly examined the tension in the divorce process and the disputes over child custody. Romano argued that the disputes were normal. He claimed that the situation was stressful, but that it hadn't escalated to violence. Despite his calm demeanor, he appeared to become more defensive as the questions dug deeper into his personal life. The second police team identified contradictions in Nicholas Romano's account for the night of the incident. In his first statement, he said he was at home all night, but in his second interrogation, he stated that he went out but couldn't remember the time. This sudden shift in his story raised suspicions, especially since he had initially been adamant about being home. When asked for details about where he had gone, it became difficult for investigators to verify his whereabouts. When police presented witness statements about violent arguments Romano had with his wife in recent weeks, Romano became angry and said these claims were exaggerated. However, a neighbor confirmed hearing shouting from the house a few days earlier. During questioning, police revealed that Romano's cell phone location data didn't match his statement. While he claimed to be home all night, his phone had moved near the victim's house at the estimated time of death. This inconsistency placed him at the scene, directly contradicting his earlier claims. When confronted with the evidence, Romano became defensive and struggled to offer a convincing explanation. Police showed Romano footage obtained from neighbors' security cameras. When asked if the car rapidly leaving the victim's street at 11:50 p.m. belonged to him, he first denied recognition, then dismissed it, saying it might be similar. In the later stages of questioning, police placed a drawing made by his young daughter on the table. The child had drawn the silhouette of her father. Security records show the system was deactivated at 10:45 p.m. with a valid code. However, this code was only known to maintenance worker Lucas Reed. An unexpected access was detected in the system on the day of the incident. Lucas Reed's fingerprint was found on a device in the back panel of the security system. The team believes the device wasn't recorded and that Reed used the day for unauthorized access. Lucas Reed's background reveals multiple theft cases and files related to missing items, indicating he was in financial difficulty. His attempts to access Isabella's bank accounts suggest possible financial motivations. Lucas Reed's internet history in the past few weeks contained searches related to insurance fraud. This is notable during a period when the victim had taken out a large insurance policy. Investigators are now examining the possibility that Reed planned to exploit the victim's policy for gain. Reed was seen wandering a nearby neighborhood on the day of the incident and recognized by neighbors. Security camera footage shows Reed near Isabella's house the day before the incident, acting suspiciously. Detailed toxicology reveals multiple pharmaceutical compounds in victim's system. Prescription records show unusual refill patterns. Lab analysis shows medication was tampered with, concentration altered. This suggests Marlowe's pharmacy records revealed discrepancies in inventory. Several prescriptions were listed as filled, yet the medication was unaccounted for. A broken porcelain bowl was found on the kitchen counter. The pieces were scattered irregularly, as if they had been pushed forcefully rather than dropped. Dark stains that appeared to have been wiped were noticed among the fragments. The odd placement of the pieces suggests a struggle may have occurred in the kitchen. Analyses confirmed the presence of human blood on some pieces of the porcelain bowl. Forensic analysis focused on water droplets around the bathroom sink and broken glass pieces. The suspect may have tried to escape through the bathroom window during the incident. Also, bloodstains in the bathroom indicate force during the murder. The debris in the bathroom shows cut marks on the victim's hand, indicating that the attacker continued to harm the victim's body even when the attacker was vulnerable. There are signs of a violent struggle on the victim's body recently. In the forensic analysis of the bathroom, no traces of toxic substances were found, but microscopic wounds on the victim's body indicate a planned attack. Additionally, fibers on the rug show the victim screamed before being killed. New evidence examination in the bathroom reveals that the incident was deliberately prepared.
The evidence has led us to three main suspects with strong connections to the victim. Ethan Marlowe's suspicious medication behavior, Nicholas Romano's inconsistent alibi, and Lucas Reed's history of tampering with the security system. Each paints this tragedy differently. According to our forensic findings, which suspect should we focus on immediately? Investigate the Ethan Marlowe connection. Focus on Nicholas Romano. Follow Lucas Reed's trail.
In-depth investigations at the detective's office revealed that Lucas Reed owed large amounts of money to local loan sharks and frequently stole from Isabella's homes to cover his debts. This financial strain likely motivated his criminal actions. After a detailed examination of the office, the jewelry Reed stole is found among his personal belongings. These items match Isabella's missing items exactly. The unique markings and designs of the items confirm their authenticity and strengthen the case against him. This discovery further ties Reed to the crime scene. Reed's DNA on Isabella's pillowcase and security panel confirms his presence in the house during the murder, further implicating him in the crime. Chemical analysis of Reed's equipment finds traces of the drugs that killed Isabella, which are linked to Reed's presence in the house. Lucas Reed confesses to detectives that when Isabella woke up while he was stealing, he panicked and forced her to take her medication to calm her down. However, the situation got out of control and ultimately led to Isabella's death. Ethan Marlowe is subjected to intense pressure in the interrogation room. Marlowe's private records reveal he obsessively detailed Isabella's medication schedule and daily activities. During questioning, these records are clearly visible on the table. Marlowe struggles to deny the records and becomes visibly uncomfortable as investigators confront him with the damning evidence. Laboratory results confirm that Marlowe altered the dosage of Isabella's medications. Initially resistant to confessing during questioning, Marlowe is forced to face the results. Panic appears in his eyes as the weight of the evidence becomes undeniable. He hesitates, visibly breaking down under the pressure. Pharmacy camera footage shows Marlowe carefully manipulating Isabella's prescription. Seeing the footage, Marlowe tries to deny the scenes he secretly watched, but his defense weakens. His face turns pale and his hands tremble, betraying his nervousness. He knows the evidence as Marlowe's fingerprints are found on the broken porcelain bowl in Isabella's kitchen. When confronted with the evidence, Ethan Marlowe, unable to escape the mounting pressure, finally cracks under the weight of the evidence and confesses. With a trembling voice, he admits his deep obsession with Isabella and his overwhelming fear of losing her. His infatuation had spiraled out of control, clouding his judgment and leading him to a desperate act. Marlowe explains that he had carefully studied her medical history, becoming intimately familiar with her medication regimen. Lucas Reed owed money to local loan sharks and often stole from Isabella's home to cover his debt. After examination, stolen jewelry is found among Reed's belongings. The drawing shows Romano in Isabella's room, a key clue. Romano's fingerprints are found on Isabella's medication bottle, despite his claim that he hadn't been. A neighbor's security camera shows Romano's car near Isabella's house at the time of death. The detective carefully reads the final toxicology report in the office. The report reveals that the compounds detected in Isabella's blood were a complex mixture requiring professional expertise. All the toxic compounds came from different sources, and this mixture was not a simple poisoning or accidental drug interaction. Dr. Vaughan's analysis highlights key connections to Isabella's death. Ethan Marlowe's obsessive behavior and close relationship with the victim make him a strong suspect. Claire Bennett, Isabella's life insurance beneficiary, raises suspicions of financial motive. Nicholas Romano's divorce and contradictory statements suggest his possible.
We've reached a critical point in the Isabella Romano case. I have presented all the forensic evidence. Which suspect do you believe is responsible for Isabella's death? When making your decision, the evidence must indicate the guilty party beyond any reasonable doubt. Ethan Marlowe, Nicholas Romano, Lucas Reed. As the fog of suspicion clears, only one truth remains. Isabella Romano's tragic end was not a crime of passion nor a random act of violence. It was a methodical betrayal hidden beneath the guise of care. Ethan Marlowe, the trusted pharmacist and close friend, is the killer. His obsessive admiration for Isabella crossed the line from affection to possession. The toxicology report revealed elevated levels of sleep medication, far beyond a standard dose. Prescription records exposed a pattern of unauthorized refills, and the altered concentration pointed to deliberate tampering. Ethan's access and knowledge made him the perfect architect of this sudden death. His intent was clear, to ensure Isabella never escaped his control, not even in death. But why not Nicholas Romano, the estranged husband? His motives seemed plausible. Financial disputes, custody battles, and witness sightings placed him near the scene. Yet the security system's untouched status contradicted a forced entry. Phone records and inconsistencies in his alibi were enough to cloud judgment, but insufficient to prove guilt. Nicholas's flaws were many, but premeditated murder was not among them. Yet the security system's untouched status contradicted a forced entry. Phone records and inconsistencies in his alibi were enough to cloud judgment, but insufficient to prove guilt. Nicholas's flaws were many, but premeditated murder was not among them. His actions were not just a crime of passion, but a meticulously planned execution.